Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for a fairly short but effective yin/restorative practice. So what I mean by that is we will kind of combine some elements of yin and restorative. The difference between yin and restorative, in my opinion and experience and through my studies, restorative yoga, not looking for sensation at all, not looking for a stretch in the body. There might be some residual sensation or stretch, but it's not the purpose or the focus of the practice. The purpose of the practice of restorative is to completely relax the tissue, muscles, tendons, ligaments, and to just simply rest, to turn on the parasympathetic nervous system. Conversely, the yin practice is a lot more about working with fascial tissue and creating more mobility, more stretch sensation. Generally, this happens in the regions of the joints. So we're talking about tendons, ligaments, and the tissue that surrounds that. So what we'll do is we'll start off with restorative, and then we'll do a few yin poses, and then we'll be done. So I'm going to suggest that at home you find wall space. This is where we're going to start. I'm going to pivot my mat so that it's at the wall, and I'd like you to have a prop or two. So this can be pillows, it can be towels, blankets, yoga blocks if you have them. I'm going to use my yoga blocks. We're going to create a little bit of elevation at the low back. Not the low back, actually. Specifically, we're looking for elevation at the pelvis. So the pelvis is flatter. The lumbar spine tends to be more curved. So I'll demonstrate this at the wall, and then I'm going to demonstrate it in the center of the room so you can see how I'm placing my pelvis. So when I get close to the wall, I'm scooting my hips up and close, rolling onto a side, swinging my legs up the wall, and then I'll adjust my hips so that they're relatively even up the wall. Then I'm going to bend my knees, press my feet into the wall, lift my hips up so that I can slide a prop underneath the pelvis that's below the lumbar spine. So I want my pelvis to feel really supportive and relatively flat, resting on the circumference of whatever prop I have. And then I get to just relax here. So if your hamstrings are really tight, you might need to come a little bit away from the wall. You might need to bend your knees a little bit. That's totally okay. And I'll just demonstrate this really quickly in the center, see what that looks like from the side. And then we'll hold for about 5 minutes. So if you're already in your shape, feel free to stay. But if you do need one more visual, feel free to watch. Okay, so you can imagine my feet are at the wall. I'm pressing down to lift my hips up, and then I'm finding that nice stable base to rest my pelvis on. So you can see that I'm not at my low back. My low back is just kind of floating there in space. And then when I pick my feet up, my feet are stacking on top of my knees and my hips. So there's this nice straight line. That's what we're looking for in our really gentle, passive inversion, legs up the wall. Okay, so start to settle in. We'll hold for about 5 minutes here. So as you arrive into this shape, just start to deepen your breath. You can close your eyes. Let's take a few exhalations through the mouth. Deep breath in through the nose. Open your mouth, exhale. Deep breath in through the nose. Open your mouth, exhale. Try that one more time on your own. And then just choose to rest here in stillness with an unlabored, natural breath. Inhale, exhale. If you're able to, if you can breathe freely through the nose on both the inhale and the exhale. Can you relax your shoulders? Relax your arms. Notice how you've placed your arms. Are they comfortable? Are you at ease? And if you're not at ease, notice where you're holding tension. Is there anything you can do to soften and relax? Sometimes that means a manual adjustment. Sometimes that just means bringing your awareness to that place. And imagine letting go of tension with an exhalation. Take one more big breath where you are. And start to bend your knees. Just let your feet down the wall and rest here for a few moments. When you're ready, press your feet into the wall. Lift the hips up. You can slide that prop out of the way. Let the tailbone settle back. A few moments, just rest there. And slow, start to make your way off to a side, knees bent. If you need to scoot away from the wall, go ahead. Pressing into your hands. Take a moment in an upright seat just to transition into our next shape. And so I'm going to move my mat back into the center of the room. You can feel free to leave your mat where it is as long as you're comfortable in your space, as long as the wall is not hindering your practice in any way. So we'll take a shape on the back again. And this is, if you're familiar with the pose Sukhasana or just easy cross-legged seat, we'll take this leg variation and just lie down on our back. So, Supta Baddha Konasana. Supta Baddha Konasana is when the soles of the feet come together and the knees open up to the sides. And that purpose of that is to find a little bit more sensation along the inner thigh, a little more opening. We're not really looking for that right now. We're just looking for a really easy cross-legged seat. And then before you come back, Take some kind of prop. It can be blocks, pillows, blankets, again, underneath the outer knees and the thighs, so that when you do come back, oftentimes it happens in my body, knees start to lift and but tendons around knee and hip joint. So we want to support that because we're still in the restorative portion of our practice. Be sure you have the right height of support. There's many different levels you can work with. Be sure it's appropriate for your body. When you're ready, lie back. Just take a few moments to settle, relax. If you need to make any adjustment with your props, go ahead. Relax your arms, your shoulders. I like to take my elbows out wide to the side. It feels like a little bit more broadening across my chest. I spend a lot of time at the computer typing, which causes my shoulders to kind of round forward and my upper back to round, and a little bit of stress on the neck. So spreading the elbows or the arms out wide helps to broaden this to counteract that. So pay attention to what ankle or shin you have in front or on top of your cross, because we will do the other side. We'll be here for a couple of minutes before we switch. Just like you did with legs up the wall, deepen the breath. Maybe you're closing your eyes. Settle into stillness. Couple more breaths here, and we'll just simply switch out the cross of the ankles so the opposite shin is on top after one more full breath cycle. So nice and easy, you can use your hands to help the outer edges of the knees lift, and then just simply cross out the shin. Settle back down to stillness. Settle back into that natural, smooth rhythm of the breath. And like I mentioned before, the goal or the purpose of our restorative practice is not to gain mobility or increase stretch sensation, but rather to really relax all tension. But there might be, depending on your body and your anatomy, some sensation, although it is not the goal. So, as much prop as you need underneath the outer edges of the legs. If this side feels slightly different, add a little bit more props if you need it. If it's something that you can breathe with and feels soothing and relaxing, feel free to stay as you are. We'll be here for about 1 more minute. Take one more deep breath in. Deep breath out. Again, bring your hands to the outer edges of the thighs. Help your knees point up towards the ceiling. Plant your feet on your mat. Take a moment to pause here. So I like to press down into my feet, lift my pelvis. So I'm scooping my tailbone towards the backs of my knees, letting my pelvis relax. This kind of helps me elongate the lumbar spine. I'll just take a few moments here to rest. Deep breath in, deep breath out. So we'll have one yin shape in this practice, and that will be for the thoracic spine. So the thoracic spine is the mid and upper back, like this portion. So from like the top of the ribs to the collarbone, thoracic spine. And what we'll do is choose a prop to place like right between the scapula, so below the armpits, but above the low back. You're looking for, I'll turn so you can see my back. You're looking for this region of the body to be elevated a little bit. And because this region of the body is going to be elevated, we might want to consider taking something underneath the back of the head as well, so that the chin and the cervical spine aren't jutting up towards the ceiling. So there's a little bit more of a neutral rotation to the neck. And depending on your neck, you might require a different level of support. So I'll show you what I'm going to do, and know that you have all of these options because we all have different props at home. So first of all, I'm going to give you two options with the legs before we settle onto our back. One would be to just, maybe you take a blanket roll or a pillow underneath the legs out long. Or you could also, like I mentioned, work a more passive release on the inner thighs with Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees out wide, which is different than what we just did, right? Crossing the ankles in Sukhasana. So with this particular shape, you might get a little bit more stretch sensation, which is okay. It's not a bad thing. I'm not asking you to avoid it. I'm just trying to explain what the differences are between these two practices. And then whatever prop you're choosing for the thoracic lift, blocks are obviously going to be much more feedback, much more sensation, and that's what I'm going to use today. But know that you can use pillows or blankets, and they're just as effective. Okay, so choose that prop, set it down about where you think your thoracic spine, your scapula are going to rest, and then just kind of check it out. So for me, I landed a little bit too high. I'm going to scoot that down just a tad. And then I think I'm going to go a little bit higher today. So I'm going to turn my block on its medium setting. Then, so see what happens if I take my head all the way back, my chin's jutting up towards the ceiling, and there's a lot of flexion at my cervical spine. So I'll take a second block underneath the base of my skull. So now my neck is more neutral. Arms can come wide out to the sides. We'll just rest here. So in essence, I really just set myself up in Supta Baddha Konasana. So I'm laying down on my back, bound angle pose. I'll be here for about 3 minutes. Know that if you get yourself into a place that you feel like is not going to serve you, if it's too intense, if you can't imagine holding it for that period of time, just back out, remove some height or add some more props. Just like you've been practicing closing the eyes, bringing your awareness inward. Another quality or characteristic of both the yin and the restorative practice is our ability to cultivate interoception. So this is our awareness of our internal needs, our ability to self-regulate. We can acknowledge when we are hot or cold. We can acknowledge when we are comfortable or uncomfortable, when we're hungry or full, and emotionally when we're sad or happy, or anywhere in between that full range of human experience. We're just noting, acknowledging it without judging it. This is your interoception. Keep coming back to your breath. One more full breath cycle here. Okay, so careful with your exit, especially as you've elevated your thoracic spine for a period of time. Just go slow. Try not to be in a hurry. I'm going to start with my legs, bending the knees, planting the feet. Really up to you how you want to exit. You can roll off to a side, take fetal position, or if it feels like it's going to be okay, you could just come up to a seat from there. And we'll head right into our Savasana from here. So any way you like to take Shavasana, but let it be supported, let it be comfortable. And ideally, your body is as still as it can possibly be for a period of time. This allows us to integrate everything we've the past 20, 25 minutes, something like that. I'm just going to simply lie flat on my back. I'm going to add a little bit of weight to my belly. This is a little trigger for parasympathetic nervous system response. Weight to the belly and contact something on the backs, underneath the backs of the knees for support. Helps trigger that rest and digest. We'll take a 3-minute Shavasana. As you settle in, move your shoulders away from your ears. Slightly tilt your chin towards your chest. Again, letting your eyes close. Let's take a breath in together. And a few open mouth exhales here. Maybe you try that twice more. And just practice on your exhale, relaxing, releasing, letting your body start to cultivate this sense of heavy. Heavy bones, muscles, skin, everything's releasing into whatever you're being supported by. Mat, floor, bed, whatever you're lying on. Notice your mouth. Let your back teeth part. Relax the tongue away from the roof of the mouth. Let the tip of the tongue rest at the bottom row of teeth. Let your jaw soften. All muscles of the face completely relax. You take one more breath in your stillness, in your Savasana. And as you do, just start to bring your awareness gently back to your body, back to this time, back to this space that you occupy. Start to add a little bit of movement, fingertips and toes. You can start to move the head side to side. So we incrementally awaken the body. When you're ready, stretch your arms up and overhead, biceps frame the ears, point the toes away from the face. Big breath into the length of the body. Use an exhale to bend the knees and roll off to a side. Find fetal position for just a moment. Take maybe one full breath cycle there. Continue into your hands, pressing up to a seat. And let your seat be supported and comfortable. You can sit on any of your props or even a chair. Take a moment here. If the eyes opened up, maybe you let them close back down again. Feel your sits bones rooting down and your spine grow tall. Join your hands together at your heart. Bow your chin to your chest. Take a moment to acknowledge how you feel right now. And is there any shift or change from how you felt when you started your practice? And take a moment to honor our effort with reverence and gratitude for the practice. May we use the fruits to serve our highest good, to reach our highest potential, to share it with those around us that we love or who could use healing. Together we send love and healing to all sentient beings around the world that may be suffering. May they be happy. May they be free. Namaste, yogis.